Hello everyone and welcome back to ElectroHobbyTube. Yes, I've got a bit of a cold. Right, so in our previous video we was talking about LEDs and resistors. And in a police car, can you imagine if they had to have somebody sat there pressing a button to make LEDs flash alternatively? Well, or alternating. Now, what we can build is something called a flip-flop or bistable oscillator. Basically makes the red, then the blue, red, then blue. Now, this is an advancement from the old police cars, like the old Ford van, very heavy on the steering. But they used to have something like a motor, and the light would be in the middle, and the motor would turn a reflector around. That's how it changed. But now what we're going to do is we are actually going to build using transistors and capacitors. So here I've got the capacitors I'm going to use. I've not made this high intensity flashing, so don't worry about that. It will be slow. If you keep seeing this green LED turn on, it's because I'm using a transistor with an LDR. Now, this is the good thing about technology. You see, we've got transistors here. These ones are, if you can see them, these are 2N2222 NPN transistors. Okay, but we also have a few different flavors of capacitors. Electrolytic ones. Some we have disc capacitors, little tiny ones. Some are all used for smoothing, some are all used for having a reservoir of power in a circuit. So if there's a lot of things being turned on and off, something like a power supply, transistor, regulator, sometimes they need a little bit of a reservoir. So we can have different types of capacitors. We'll also be using transistors today. These ones here are for a future project. These are for an inverter. So is this one. This is a different flavor. This is an IRF50N. But, like I say, we're going to be using these NPN 2N2222. And we're going to be using these capacitors. These ones take a while. Now, the thing with capacitors is, just give you a little brief introduction, capacitors are like a reservoir. They take a while to charge up, depending on the size, and then they let that charge out. Some hold the reservoir, so if there's a dip in the power supply, it keeps it all smooth. They can be used for various things, but today we're going to use them to pulse and trigger. Okay, so we're going to put them away. Now, here we've got an LDR. I briefly mentioned this in the last project. And we've got a transistor, a couple of resistors. Okay? But every time I block the light, the resistance changes. And this transistor gets triggered. So this is how we make like an automated circuit. Watch. One moment I'm going to turn the light off briefly and I'm going to turn it on. Okay? Watch your eyes. Be careful. Going off, and within 2-3 seconds it will come back on. Watch the green LED. Okay, the lights are coming back on. There we go. Right, as you can see, it works. It's automated. Now we are using 5 volts today, and here we have my batch of batteries. I use this. It just keeps the noise down, but this is my little project pack. They're great. 4 1.5 volt AA batteries, and they're a great supply. When messing with things and building things, it's always a good idea, good practice, to also make sure you turn off the supply before messing around. Yes, it's only 5 volts, but we don't want things to smoke and let the magic smoke out. Especially these, all these. So I've turned it off for now, so there's no flickering over here. Let's build a flip-flop. Let's build these little. So I'm going to do this. So it's a two-stage thing. Now, if you notice from the short video and previous videos, I've started to put the supply across the top of the breadboard. Eventually we'll be using the ground or negative or 0 volts at the bottom. This is so we can start following things like circuit diagrams. 5 volts at the top, ground at the bottom. Yes. So I have written out a little project, but this one is going to be a flip-flop, and what we're going to do is we're going to upgrade it. Because why just have, well, let's put that there, let's put this here. Oh wow, I can smell coffee. I was trying to do this project earlier, but things just happen. Now I am going to use the resistors across the top. And we're going to bring in the multimeter to check the resistors, to make sure we've got the right resistor. Because this project requires for each part, or should I say each section of the transistor, its power supply, the LED, the capacitor, it requires 2 resistors for each side. So for the LED, we're going to be using a 390 ohm. Well, we won't be using that one. That is one of those 10Ks. Another 10K. Oh, jumping all over the place. There we go, 1390. So what we want to do is, I am only going to give you a brief introduction to these transistors, but I will tell you about them. So over here we have our NPN. One leg is a collector, one leg is a base, and one leg is an emitter. Next to the transistor I've also put the actual symbol, the electronic symbol next to it. I've missed one of the 2's out, as you can see on the bottom. But there you can see the shape, and there you can see how it works. You can also see the arrow on the bottom. So the arrow on the bottom, this indicates that it's NPN. Okay, that's what we're using today. So like I said, we're going to put that over there, get rid of that. Right. So the first thing we want to do is make sure from the supply, the red line, we are going to put our 390. Now our LED is going to go in this slot, and we're going to take our red LED, and then I'm going to move the transistor down, and we're going to put our LED there, cathode to the bottom, anode to the top. Yep. And we're going to take our blue LED, and we're going to do the same. Move this transistor down one space, so we've got plenty of space. There we go. And we're going to find ourselves another 390 ohm resistor. Now, I was building different projects. That's 360. I will get the packet, it's just easier. Where are they? That is 390, isn't it? Yes. Right. 330. Oh, there we go. 390. Thought I could cheat and reuse these other ones. I'll label them. So that's for that, that's for that. Then we'll also need to bring down our negative or 0 volts, because we're going to need at the bottom 0. And that. Might actually change these so they're more flat. And no, I didn't practice this. Should have done that. Might actually move that over in a second because I think I've got glue. Yeah. Previous projects. Right. So there, what we want to do is, because we're going to need 2 rows, I want on the bottom I have to pass this across, so I want to make sure without shorting anything out. Here's my little pliers. I have had one of my microphones arrive, but it is a headphone socket style, and that's no good. The USB one was better. Now, continuity. That's not continuity. There we go. Yes, so it's always a good idea to make sure that your circuit is connected properly. Let's just pop that in there, pop that in there, and now we can go bring ground to the next transistor. Is that? Okay. Okay. There we go. Right. So now we've got our 390 ohm. We'll also need our 10Ks. So we will make sure that these are both 10K or thereabouts. Yes, you've got to remember that you have to change the settings on your, that's 10K, that's 10K, okay. Now the 10K goes to the base, so we want to drop this from the positive to the side of the LED on the middle leg of the transistor, and then do the same for this channel. Now, yeah, like I said, on Tuesday my new camera's coming, and also a new stand for my microphone, because I tend to do a lot of looking up towards this side, so I end up recording the whole video, listen to it back, and then realise the audio is pants. So that's why I can't wait until next week. I wonder. We'll see. Anyway, right, now we need to bring in these bad boys, the capacitors. Now I'm going to lean them over a little bit, because I've got to watch that these don't short out. Now I am sure that this is negative to base, and then positive to there. Right, now that is one. Pop this in there. Make sure that the legs don't short anything out. Now, let's see. Let's bring in the supply. There we go. Look at that. Like I said, it's not too fast, which is good. Okay, well, the rest of the circuit still works. There we go. Right, now I'm just going to pause that, because I'm thinking, let's upgrade. Let's bring in another transistor and see if we can make it 3-channel. Now I am just going to move, which one should I move? That one goes to there, that one goes to there. Let's pull the capacitors out, save confusion. We need another 10K. 5. There we go. 10K. To positive. And the base. Then we need another. That's 360. Yeah, that's not going to work. I'll just pinch one of these. Got plenty. So here we go. Now I'm just going to pop that. And squash the legs of the resistor so it fits in. Now we're going to do, I'm going to pinch this green LED, pop this over here. Now what I might need to do is run a wire, because these are going to get quite tight fit. So I'm going to pop this over to there. I'm going to pop this over to there. Hey, come on. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to try get this from there to there, and I also need 2 bridges to link. Remove that capacitor. We need to also link the ground, well, 0 volts to the next transistor, the next channel. Now this is what I was on about with the tree that we made. I made a similar device years ago, and I think in the tree it had one extra resistor, and that extra resistor probably put the circuit slightly off balance, so one channel always triggered. And then if you looked at the LEDs in slow motion, it would go bang 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 up and down the tree, well, up the tree, all three channels. Now I'll just pop this capacitor back in. So we want that positive and this negative, and if we turn the power on, there we go. Look at that. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the video. We will be working on different things. I'm going to trial out a different project, because in my next one it's just going to be a brief introduction, some music, and me making a case for this, and it's just going to be a video with music basically, and that, just building that, making sure I protect this, so because it's very delicate, I don't want it destroying. But there you go. I don't know if the word for it is if you've got a stable or astable, a device with voltage but no current, so it's in a stable but non-functional depending on which way it works. So now you've got a bistable oscillator where you would have two LEDs flickering back and forth like the police light. And now what you've got is, I would say tristable, but I could be wrong. Please write it down in the comments. But there you go. Now, I did promise we would make a police light. So, let's make a police light. Let's remove that. Turn that back to there. Put that there. That there. That there. Move that back, pull these resistors slightly out. Yes, I did use this little breadboard earlier, so I'm going to pull that LED, disconnect that channel, and now I'm going to use these links. So yes, let's make the police light flasher. So I'm going to turn that to there, that to there, yeah, I am going to try out a different thing, different videos, just to see, because I've also thought that another good idea is maybe, I just saw it and I thought it was a good idea, I saw a few channels do it, to do the premiere and they play music, but if you've got about as much patience as me, I don't think it works for anything. It's great if it's a big thing. I am setting up everything for a potential live, but that's going to be a little while off, waiting for all this stuff to arrive, and then I can connect up a few different screens, and then I can actually see what's going on and build the projects. But apparently people comment, so I may be a little while off doing that, because if people do comment and they're interested in doing this and we do a live project and we can work through some ideas, yeah, maybe it's worth doing. They've got to be the worst. What has happened to them? Right, let's cheat. Wrong tool for the right job. we go. That's one link. Well, should have put the LEDs in last, but hey, we learn. I know, I just chopped that in half. Yep. Wrong job, right tool. There we go. I said that exactly how I meant it. Here we go. Right. Okay, move those LEDs over. Put that in there. Put that on there. Did I get rid of that one as well? Right. Who's getting sabotaged? Put that over there. You can go there. And I just chopped that out, didn't it? Right, pop this leg in there. That leg in there. Okay, power on, watch your eyes, some flashing, hopefully. Here we go. There we go. Our little police light. Hope you enjoy. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. If you've got any comments, suggestions, please write them down. And I've just got live at the weekend, I think it's like the community thing, so people can do like discussions. But also there is where I wrote a comment down the other day just to give you some news about what I'd done, to continue just to do a couple more videos, simple ones. The builds will be when the camera comes on Tuesday. But yeah, please write your comments down. Let me know what you think. And yes, the quality is about to change in the next couple of days. Okay? And I was going to do this as a separate video, but just thought to throw it all in one. Hope you enjoy. Please remember, like, subscribe, comment, share your views, and just let me know what you think of the video. Thank you for watching. See you again in the next video. Bye.